You talk to be liked. You reveal to be trusted. That's why you're predictable, readable, and controlled. Silence isn't shyness, it's the weapon you're too weak to wield. You were trained to believe expression is strength. It isn't. Expression is exposure. From childhood, you were rewarded for speaking, for sharing, for opening up. Teachers praised participation. Friends demanded honesty. Women demanded vulnerability. Society told you that transparency builds trust. What it actually builds is access. Every time you speak about your plans, your frustrations, your ambitions, your fears, you hand someone a blueprint, a map of your inner territory. And once someone has your map, they don't need to fight you. They can predict you. Prediction is control. The man who speaks constantly is easy to steer. His reactions are visible. His emotional triggers are public. His intentions are declared before they're executed. He believes clarity makes him powerful. It makes him manageable. Silence does something different. Silence creates tension. Silence creates uncertainty. Silence forces others to guess. And in any hierarchy, corporate, social, romantic, the one who guesses is weaker than the one who knows. When you reveal less, you become harder to calculate. When you become harder to calculate, you become harder to manipulate. This is not mysticism, it is mechanics. People adjust behavior based on the information available to them. If they know you're desperate for approval, they'll withhold it. If they know you're insecure about status, they'll subtly challenge it. If they know your long-term plan, they'll compete with it. If they know your weaknesses, they'll apply pressure exactly where it hurts. Most men sabotage themselves not through incompetence, but through disclosure. They announce their goals before achieving them. They confess their emotions to people who haven't earned access. They reveal frustrations to those who later weaponize them. They mistake conversation for connection, but connection is rarely equal. It is an exchange of value, and information is value. In power dynamics, the person who holds more information has the advantage, not the person who shares more. Observe high-status operators carefully, CEOs in negotiation, politicians during questioning, competent generals before battle. They do not speak to fill space, they speak to direct outcomes. Their default state is reserve, not because they are shy, because they understand that the less others know about their inner world, the more carefully others must move around them. Silence shifts pressure outward. When you stop filling conversational gaps, others rush to fill them. They reveal their intentions, their insecurities, their motives. They expose themselves trying to decode you. You learn. They leak. This is the first lens shift. Stop seeing silence as social weakness. It is controlled opacity. Opacity forces respect because it denies access. You do not owe anyone constant explanation. You do not owe anyone emotional transparency. You do not owe your internal strategy. The need to explain yourself is rooted in fear. Fear of being misunderstood, disliked, misjudged. But power is not built on being understood. It is built on being difficult to corner. When you speak less, you begin noticing more. Micro-expressions, tone shifts, inconsistencies, hidden agendas. Most men are too busy preparing their next sentence to see the battlefield forming in front of them. Observation requires stillness. Stillness requires ego restraint. Ego restraint requires discipline. The moment you stop talking to prove your intelligence, you start gathering intelligence. That is the difference between performer and predator. The performer wants applause. The predator wants leverage. Right now, you are likely performing more than you realize, explaining your decisions, justifying your boundaries, defending your image, clarifying your intentions. Every justification reduces your mystique. Every clarification lowers your ceiling. The powerful do not rush to correct misconceptions. They let others reveal their positions first. They let opponents commit. They wait. Waiting feels uncomfortable because it removes instant validation, but discomfort is the entrance fee to dominance. Understand this clearly. The man who speaks first often loses first. The man who reveals first often concedes first. The man who reacts first often submits first. Your silence is not absence, it is controlled presence. It is the refusal to give opponents ammunition. It is the decision to move in shadow until movement is necessary. This chapter is not about becoming mute, it is about becoming intentional. Every word should have a purpose. Every disclosure should serve strategy. Every silence should apply pressure. Once you understand that information is currency, you stop spending it casually. And when you stop spending casually, you start accumulating power. Most people will never understand this. That's why they remain predictable. You think people ask questions because they care. Most ask because they're collecting. Human interaction is not neutral. It is an exchange system. Every conversation is a subtle negotiation for position, advantage, and leverage. Some people do this unconsciously, others do it with surgical precision, but the mechanism is always active. Information flows, power shifts. When someone asks, "What are you working on?" it sounds harmless, friendly, curious, but embedded in that question is access. If you answer fully, they now know your direction. If they know your direction, they can compete, interfere, align falsely, or reposition themselves ahead of you. The moment your intention becomes public, it becomes vulnerable. Plans are strongest when unseen. The first mechanism of social extraction is casual probing. Small talk is not small. It is reconnaissance disguised as warmth. "What happened with that girl? Are you thinking of leaving your job? Why were you so quiet yesterday? What are your long-term goals?" Each question invites disclosure. Each answer expands your psychological footprint in their mind. The more they know, the more precisely they can model you. And once someone can model you, they can anticipate you. Anticipation eliminates surprise, and surprise is a weapon. The second mechanism is emotional bait. This is more sophisticated. Someone shares vulnerability first. They confess a fear, a struggle, a secret. This creates artificial intimacy. The atmosphere softens. You feel compelled to reciprocate. Reciprocation is a powerful social law. It binds the naive. So you respond with your own confession. You open your guard. You reveal something personal. You believe you are building trust, but what you may be building is imbalance, because not everyone who shares with you is doing so from weakness. Some are doing it strategically. They want to lower your guard. Once lowered, extraction becomes effortless. Information gathered during emotional states is the most valuable, because emotional disclosure is rarely filtered. You say things you wouldn't say in calm calculation. You reveal triggers, attachments, fears. Later, those triggers become pressure points. The third mechanism is false alignment. This one is lethal. Someone mirrors your values, your frustrations, your ambitions. They nod in agreement. They echo your worldview. You relax because you believe you've found similarity. Similarity breeds trust. Trust breeds exposure. But alignment can be temporary camouflage. People mirror to enter your perimeter. Once inside, they observe. Once they observe, they assess. Are you stable? Are you insecure? Are you ambitious? Are you easily flattered? Are you threatened by competition? You answer all of this without realizing it, through stories, tone, and detail. The more you talk, the more data you leak. Most men do not understand this battlefield because they crave validation. They want to be seen as intelligent, interesting, emotionally aware. So they speak, they elaborate, they justify, they narrate. and while they narrate, someone else is calculating. Silence disrupts this extraction cycle. When you answer briefly, you starve curiosity. When you redirect questions, you shift focus. When you pause instead of reacting, you break rhythm. People become uncomfortable when they cannot read you. That discomfort often forces them to reveal more about themselves in an attempt to rebalance control. Watch it carefully. Ask fewer questions about yourself. Ask more about them. Offer fewer stories. Offer neutral statements. Replace emotional reactions with observation. Instead of explaining why you're frustrated, simply say, "It's handled." Instead of detailing your next move, say, "We'll see." Ambiguity protects momentum. Another method of extraction is provocation. Someone challenges you lightly.
Not everyone listens to understand you. Some listen to position themselves above you. You imagine enemies as loud, obvious, hostile. That's amateur thinking. The most dangerous people in your environment rarely attack directly. They study first, and they study through your mouth. There are 3 archetypes who benefit most from your oversharing. You will meet all 3 repeatedly in life. If you don't recognize them, you will feed them. 1. The opportunist. The opportunist is not loyal. He is situational. He smiles when you rise. He disappears when you struggle. He listens carefully when you speak about your ambitions, your strategies, your dissatisfaction. He is not inspired by your vision. He is scanning for openings. When you announce a business idea too early, he notes it. If it succeeds, he aligns publicly. If it fails, he distances himself. If it looks promising but fragile, he competes quietly. The opportunist thrives on early disclosure. When you reveal your timeline, he accelerates his. When you reveal your uncertainty, he positions as confident. When you reveal conflict, he uses it to advance his own leverage. He doesn't need to sabotage you aggressively. He only needs to adjust faster than you. And he can only adjust if he has your data. Opportunists don't create waves. They ride the waves others announce. Silence deprives them of surf. 2. The rival. The rival is more direct. He measures himself against you. Sometimes he's a co-worker, sometimes a friend, sometimes a brother. Sometimes a man who smiles at you across a table while calculating how to outpace you. He listens for signs of weakness. If you speak about burnout, he amplifies effort. If you confess doubt, he increases visibility. If you reveal insecurity, he applies subtle pressure in that area. The rival studies your emotional reactions. You think heated debates are harmless exchanges of ideas. He sees them as diagnostic tests. He pushes topics to see where you react defensively. He introduces challenges to see how quickly you justify yourself. Every justification is a weakness revealed, because defensiveness signals attachment, and attachment signals vulnerability. The rival does not need to defeat you physically or socially. He needs to destabilize you. A destabilized man makes mistakes, and mistakes create openings. If he knows what triggers you, he can trigger you strategically. But if he cannot read you, he must guess, and guessing is expensive. Uncertainty forces caution. Caution slows aggression. 3. The covert manipulator. This is the most refined predator. He does not compete openly. He integrates. He becomes trusted. He offers advice. He validates your frustrations. He encourages you to open up. His power comes from proximity. The covert manipulator gathers emotional intelligence about you over time. He tracks your patterns. He notices what excites you, what angers you, what makes you feel small. He appears supportive, but support is often investment. Investment expects return. At the right moment, he deploys what he has collected. He references past confessions subtly. He reminds you of doubts you shared. He frames your own words against you. You said you struggle with consistency. I thought you weren't sure about that direction. Didn't you admit you overreact sometimes? He uses your transparency to shape narratives about you, sometimes to others, sometimes directly in negotiation. The manipulator does not invent weaknesses, he archives them, and you handed him the archive. This archetype thrives in environments where emotional openness is praised. He weaponizes the culture of vulnerability. The naive believe honesty guarantees safety. It doesn't. It guarantees traceability. These three types operate everywhere: corporate offices, friend groups, dating dynamics, families. And none of them require you to fail. They only require you to reveal. Understand the pattern. The opportunist uses your plans. The rival uses your reactions. The manipulator uses your confessions. All three depend on access. You provide that access every time you speak without intention. Most men think they are surrounded by friends. Few realize they are surrounded by observers. Observers become strategists when given enough information. This is not paranoia. It is pattern recognition. Powerful men do not assume hostility everywhere. They assume incentives exist everywhere. And incentives shape behavior more than morality does. If someone benefits from your exposure, they will tolerate it. If someone benefits from your weakness, they will amplify it subtly. Your responsibility is not to accuse. Your responsibility is to reduce surface area. Speak less about ambition. Speak less about frustration. Speak less about fear. Reveal outcomes, not process. Reveal confidence, not doubt. Reveal nothing that can be inverted against you. Because inversion is the hidden rule of social dominance. Whatever you expose can be reframed. Whatever you confess can be exaggerated. Whatever you announce can be contested. When you become selective, you create scarcity. Scarcity increases perceived value. When your words are rare, they carry weight. When your disclosures are minimal, they carry mystery. Mystery forces respect, and respect shifts hierarchy. Most men remain transparent because they crave to be understood. The elite accept being misunderstood, because misunderstanding protects their position. You are not here to be decoded. You are here to move unseen until movement matters. The moment you understand the archetypes around you, you stop speaking casually. You begin speaking strategically. And strategy separates the managed from the sovereign.
Understanding silence is theory. Applying it is war. You don't become unreadable by agreeing with this philosophy. You become unreadable by training restraint until it becomes automatic. Silence is not an occasional tactic, it is a baseline posture. Most men speak reactively. A question hits, they answer. A joke lands, they respond. A challenge appears, they defend. Their mouth moves before their mind calculates. That is not communication. That is reflex. Reflex is programmable, and anything programmable is controllable. If others can predict your reflex, they can steer you. So the first discipline is delayed response. When asked a direct question, pause. Not theatrically, not awkwardly, calmly. A 2-second delay shifts power immediately. It signals you are choosing your words, not leaking them. Most people rush to fill silence because silence creates pressure. You will learn to weaponize that pressure. When someone asks about your plans, respond with partial clarity. I'm exploring options. When someone probes emotionally, reduce exposure. It's handled. When someone tries to provoke explanation, compress your answer, not concerned. Short answers create walls. Walls create respect. You are not obligated to elaborate simply because someone expects elaboration. The second discipline is neutral expression. Your face leaks information faster than your mouth. Raised eyebrows, micro-smirks, tension in the jaw, over-nodding. These are tells. High-level negotiators train their faces for this reason, not to appear robotic, but to avoid involuntary signaling. If someone cannot read your emotional reaction, they cannot calibrate pressure accurately. Imagine playing poker against a man whose expression never shifts. You hesitate, you second-guess, you overthink. That hesitation is leverage. In daily life, the same rule applies. The less reactive you appear, the more others reveal trying to measure you. The third discipline is controlled disclosure, not secrecy, control. Before speaking about anything personal, ask one internal question. What does this person gain from knowing this? If the answer is unclear, withhold. You do not need to share your next move to feel significant. You do not need to share your frustration to feel validated. You do not need to narrate your growth to prove it exists. Announcing momentum often dissolves it. Momentum grows strongest in silence. Another daily tactic, redirect focus. When conversation turns toward you excessively, pivot. Answer briefly, then return a question. Still figuring it out, what about you? Let others speak. People feel respected when heard, and while they speak, they disclose patterns. You gather, they spend. This is not manipulation, it is asymmetric awareness. You remain informed, they remain exposed. There is also strategic ambiguity. You do not always need to confirm or deny assumptions. If someone underestimates you, let them. If someone overestimates you, let them. Correcting perceptions constantly drains energy and narrows your maneuverability. Ambiguity creates space. Space allows repositioning. The disciplined man understands that clarity is a resource. He gives clarity when it benefits him. He withholds clarity when it benefits others. Most men fear being seen as distant or mysterious, but mystery is not coldness, it is selectivity, and selectivity signals value. If everyone has access to your thoughts have no scarcity. Scarcity increases perceived power. Over time, tactical silence shifts your internal state. You become less emotionally reactive. You observe patterns faster. You detach from the need to win every verbal exchange. You begin operating at a higher vantage point. Instead of being inside every interaction, you are above it, watching tempo, watching posture, watching intent. This vantage point is sovereignty, and sovereignty requires discipline. There will be moments you want to explain yourself, moments you want to defend your image, moments you want to correct someone publicly. Resist, not because you are passive, but because not every battle deserves your exposure. The loud man burns energy constantly. The disciplined man conserves. Energy conserved compounds into influence. Influence deployed strategically reshapes environments. This is daily training. Pause before speaking. Compress responses. Maintain neutral expression. Disclose only with purpose. Redirect attention. Allow ambiguity. Over time, people will adjust around you. They will speak more carefully. They will test less aggressively. They will respect your boundaries without being told. Because boundaries do not require speeches, they require presence. And presence does not shout, it stands still. Your greatest weakness is not speech. It is the need behind it. You speak because you want to be understood. You explain because you want to be validated. You clarify because you fear misinterpretation. That fear is the leash. As long as you need others to understand you, you are negotiable. Understand this. The craving to be understood is ego demanding recognition. It wants acknowledgement. It wants agreement. It wants reassurance that your identity is intact. But identity that depends on external understanding is unstable, and instability invites control. When someone knows you need approval, they can withhold it. When someone senses you fear being misjudged, they can threaten your image. When someone sees that you rush to defend yourself, they can provoke you at will. The need to be understood makes you reactive. Reactive men are predictable. Predictable men are manageable. You must kill this need, not suppress it, eliminate it. There is a psychological shift that separates powerful men from exposed ones. They are comfortable being misread. They do not rush to correct assumptions. They do not scramble to fix reputations in every room. They do not exhaust themselves clarifying motives. If someone underestimates them, they let performance correct it. If someone misjudges them, they let time dismantle it. If someone doubts them, they do not argue, they build. Most men argue. Arguing is energy spent defending perception. Building is energy spent creating leverage. Perception can be manipulated by others. Leverage cannot. When you no longer require understanding, something cold and powerful happens. You become self-contained. Your decisions are no longer explained for comfort. Your boundaries are no longer justified for approval. Your silence is no longer awkward. It is deliberate. This is identity death. The old identity sought connection through exposure. The new identity maintains connection through control. The old identity believed transparency proved authenticity. The new identity understands authenticity does not require disclosure. You can be genuine without being open. You can be real without being readable. Most men equate mystery with dishonesty. That is because they fear losing social safety. You are not here for safety. You are here for sovereignty. Sovereignty means you do not outsource emotional stability to public opinion. If someone misunderstands you, you do not panic. If someone criticizes you, you do not unravel. If someone distances themselves because you are less accessible, you let them go. Access is privilege, not entitlement. Once you internalize this, your posture changes. You stop explaining your growth. You stop narrating your suffering. You stop broadcasting your transformation. You move quietly. Quiet growth compounds. Loud growth attracts resistance. The man who needs to be understood leaks internal state constantly. His tone shifts when offended. His words increase when insecure. His body tightens when challenged. But the sovereign man holds center. He hears criticism without flinching. He hears praise without inflating. He hears misunderstanding without correcting, because his identity is not under negotiation. This is where most men fail. They master silence externally, but still crave validation internally. That tension eventually leaks. True silence requires internal detachment. You must detach from applause, detach from approval, detach from being seen correctly. You are not an exhibition. You are an operator.
Most men want to be noticed. That is why most men are controlled. Visibility feels powerful. Attention feels validating. Being known feels significant. But attention is exposure. Exposure is vulnerability. And vulnerability in competitive environments is harvested. The loud man believes influence comes from presence. The unseen man understands influence comes from positioning. When you are constantly visible, you are constantly measurable. Your strengths are cataloged, your weaknesses are noted, your habits are tracked. But when you move selectively, when you speak minimally, when you reveal nothing unnecessary, others are forced to operate in uncertainty. Uncertainty slows aggression. It weakens confidence. It creates hesitation. And hesitation in power dynamics is fatal. The unseen do not chase dominance publicly. They build it privately. They do not argue status. They accumulate leverage. They do not fight every challenge. They choose decisive moments. This is the final warning. If you continue speaking casually, revealing emotionally, reacting impulsively, you will remain readable. Readable men are predictable. Predictable men are replaceable. The world does not reward transparency, it rewards advantage. Every room you enter is a hierarchy forming in real time. Every interaction is a calibration of strength. Every conversation is a subtle contest of control. If you are constantly explaining, you are below. If you are constantly defending, you are below. If you are constantly revealing, you are exposed. The sovereign man does not need to dominate volume. He dominates gravity. Others lean in. Others speak carefully. Others reveal first, because they sense calculation, they sense control, they sense boundaries. This does not require aggression, it requires composure. Silence combined with steady eye contact is more destabilizing than any argument. Minimal answers combined with decisive action are more intimidating than long speeches. When people cannot map you, they respect your potential. Potential is power. The unseen always win because they conserve energy. While others debate, they build. While others expose, they observe. While others react, they position. And when they move, the shift feels sudden. But it was never sudden. It was silent preparation. You have two paths. Remain expressive, transparent, emotionally available to everyone, or become selective, disciplined, sovereign. One path earns temporary validation, the other earns durable power. You were not betrayed because you were unlucky. You were betrayed because you were readable. You were not undermined because you lacked talent. You were undermined because you revealed timing. You were not outmaneuvered because you were weak. You were outmaneuvered because you exposed your internal state. That ends now. From this point forward, speak less, observe more, reveal nothing that can be inverted against you. Let others underestimate, let others speculate, let others talk. Your silence is not emptiness, it is pressure, and pressure reshapes rooms. The unseen do not ask for control, they accumulate it. Choose accordingly.